So we're going to talk about bluegrass rhythm, and typically with my cabin camps, we'll have a rhythm-focused day, and then a solo-focused day, and then kind of blend things together on the third day. So we're jumping around a little bit here, but that's okay. I wanted to cover these particular things with you while I have you this first day before Kenny takes over tomorrow. You know, bluegrass rhythm is one of the things that I get the most questions about, and it's one of the things that might be really elusive to guitar players, especially as they're coming on over from other genres, and you get used to your own little strum patterns that you have, and then you see these guys playing bluegrass rhythm, and you just know it sounds different. It sounds, maybe it fits the styling a little better, and it doesn't look like they're doing much with their hand, but it sure sounds like it's something different than what you're doing with your hands. So what I'd like to do is break that down a little bit and kind of, just like we did with improvising, take you back to the very beginning, and then let's just build up from there. And what I want to end with today is just being able to get us a confident bluegrass strum that ends with a good old G run, because that's what we're going to need to be able to do as bluegrass guitar players. Who's confident playing a good old bluegrass G run? Okay. Yeah. And throughout the weekend, we'll work on how to play those more. But I wanted to make sure we cover the timing in that today. So what we have here, if you would ignore the red circles and arrows as of now and concentrate on focus on the black writings and numbers, what we have is on the top here, in one line, we have essentially one measure of music. Most songs that we play in bluegrass have 4 beats in a measure. They're in 4/4 time. We then further subdivide those 4 beats in half. We call it the downbeat and the upbeat. And whenever we're counting out loud, we signify the upbeat by saying and. So if you're going to count a measure of bluegrass, you can count it 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you're going to subdivide it, you would say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if you're thinking about that in context of picking, like we were playing Blackberry Blossom earlier, I'm doing my downstrokes on the numbers, on the 1, 2, 3, 4. My upstrokes are on the ands. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Okay? With rhythm playing, we have the same opportunities to fill that measure. We have, for our intents and purposes right now, we have 8 possible slots to fill up inside a measure. And that's what these little columns designate. That's why across the top there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different slots. There's all kinds of things that we can do in there. And we're going to do all kinds of different things, even within the context of the same song, to keep it interesting, not too monotonous. So what I want to do is just peel it back to the most basic bluegrass strum, and then we'll just continue to build from there. Now, this isn't exactly tab. I'm not specifying which frets we're going to play. I'm going to leave that up to your eyes and ears to watch and see what I do. But what am I talking about here when I have this little circle drawn and I have this little arrow drawn? What I mean by the circle is when we're hitting a single note. That's going to be our root note. So everybody make a G chord for me. And the G chord that I like to play for bluegrass is actually this one right here. It's a 3-finger chord. I've got my middle finger on the 3rd fret on my low E string, and then that same finger is actually going to mute the string that right beneath that, the A string. I'm not even going to fret it. I'm going to let the A string be muted by the fatty part of my finger. Then I've got an open D string, an open G string, and then with my last 2 fingers I'm playing the 3rd frets of the B and E string. So it sounds like this if I strum all the way through. Try that. Try that G chord. Try that one, Twix. There it is. And what's interesting about that chord is that it doesn't contain a third of the scale, the third interval. The only notes that you play are the first and fifth, the tonic note, the dominant note, and that's really fitting for bluegrass that goes in and out of these minor modal feels. So we're not playing something really major sounding with our rhythm. We're not really playing minor, but we're providing a rhythm bed that you can weave in and out of these different modes, and it sounds good. So that's our G chord. That's what I want us to practice with today. So when I'm designate this little circle there on the downbeat of 1, I'm just wanting us to play this lowest bass string. Okay? Then with this arrow on the second beat, I want us to do a strum. But our strum's not going to be all the way through the strings. You see how it's kind of a short arrow? I just want us to strum through like the last 3 or 4 strings. So let's just practice that. The boom, strum. Boom, strum. Also called boom chuck. Boom, chuck. Boom, chuck. Boom, chuck. Boom, chuck. Good. Another big key to rhythm, bluegrass rhythm playing, is economy of motion. People have a difficult time playing rhythm with these really fast tunes. A lot of times it's because we're working harder than we should. So your pick really should not extend much further below your first string after you go through it. There's no need for us to strum and go way down here, or even much further than the interval of the string. Once we go through, we can stop and we can reset. Okay. And I'm not only using this motion with my wrist, I'm also throwing in a little bit of this too. So it's kind of a two-dimensional, there you go, a little two-dimensional thing. Good. So then on the third beat, we're going to hit another single string. Which string are we going to hit there? Oh, yep, exactly, our D string. Okay, and then we'll do another strum. So that entire measure sounds like this. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So we're playing something on every downbeat. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could still count with the ands. We're just not playing anything on the ands. Listen. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So we're only playing half of the possible strums and increments that we could be playing. And I find that whenever I go to really fast bluegrass, like I'll have one of my friends drop by later this weekend that's a banjo player for Ricky Skaggs. He's the fastest banjo player I know. And whenever I have to play with him, I will revert back to this style of strum a lot of times because I'm just trying to get through it. I'm trying to lay down a solid rhythm bed. I don't really have time to get busy. So. And you can do that pretty fast, you know, just playing those downstrokes. So this, even though this is very basic and we're going to move on, you're not ever going to leave this pattern behind. You're always going to have it in your back pocket for whenever you start getting really fast. You can simplify and play something like this. Okay, so let's just progress from there. We're going to add another little, I'll call it a tickle. We're going to introduce an upstroke into our rhythm playing. Okay, and you see where those fall. The second line down here, we're going to do a little up strum. We're going to do one on the and of 2 and the and of 4. You'll notice that my up arrows there are not as long as my down arrows. I did that on purpose, actually. That's because when we come up through those strings, we're not going to try to strum a bunch of strings. A lot of times I'll only hit the first string, sometimes just the first 2 strings. So listen very carefully. That upstroke is just, I'm not going. Play along with me. Switch your bass notes. bass note on the bottom string, and then switch it with the fourth string. Do an audit of your pick hand and ask yourself, am I working harder and moving further than I have to? If so, try to fix it. Rich, I really like how effortless that is. It looks easy. Okay. Good. Now, I'm going to start to spice this up, okay? Now that we have our basic pattern, we're even going to mess with that a little bit. And here's what we're going to do. Just going to highlight this one. What I mean by the highlight is I want it to be accented. Now we're talking not just notes that we're hitting, we're talking about how loud those notes are. We're talking about volume, which is a huge part of our rhythm playing. And it can make the same little rhythm strum sound way different when you start bringing out certain parts of the strum over and against other parts of the strum. So the first few notes of this pattern, this one, these two arrows, and this arrow, we're going to keep at a very moderate volume. And what I want you to do is play that last little up strum louder. But I don't want you to hit more strings, and I don't want you to exert too much effort. I just want to highlight it. Just before you do it, let me play it for you the old way, and then I'm going to start accenting the and of 4, and I want you to listen to what it does. Here's the old way. Okay, I'll start accenting it. I'll tell you why that's important. Because usually when we're singing, someone's singing, they're done singing their phrase by the end of the measure. And that's where a good musician turns up the intensity of the rhythm playing. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. Those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. You hear that? It's starting to sound like bluegrass guitar. But we got to have a command over not just which strums we play, but the volume of those various strums. So let's just try that. Let's try that strum on the very end. We're going to try just bringing it out. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 2, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 2. Okay, let's try this now, just to get a command of it. Let's do the same thing to the end of 2. Let's try it. We're going to bring, those are going to be the 2 loudest parts of the measure that we play. 1, 2, ready, go. 1. Good. For those of you who are looking to maybe find ways to make that a little louder, I suggest this time when we do it, not to put any more power or pressure in your wrist. Why don't you try just momentarily, right as you're doing that upstroke, gripping your pick just a little bit harder. What that's going to do is provide more resistance in your pick. And then if you come through the strum with your pick gripped a little harder, it's going to up the volume necessarily without having to put a bunch more pressure into it. That's something that you can do on the fly, and is very effective, especially when you're playing fast. So otherwise, that means that otherwise our pick should be very loose when we're just playing rhythm. I mean, it's just flopping in my fingers. And then for those upstrokes, I'm just going to put a little pressure on my pick, and it's going to create a volume increase. Let's try that. See what you think. 1, 2, ready, go. Is that helpful? Okay. Good. Okay. Let's move on. This time, you see what I did? What I added there? We're going to play one of the other increments. On the and of one, we're going to do a little up pick. On which string do you think I want us to do that on? The D string. Okay, let me demonstrate it for you. I'll do it the old way. Let's do this. Let's try it. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's slow it down. Check it out. I see a lot of you having some
major problem.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's the good thing is that we're not having to spend any more energy. Your hand's already doing what I'm asking it to do. I want you to not worry about hitting just that D string. Let me put it this way. I want you to make some string contact on that and of one. If you play more than one string, that's fine, but I want you to do a little upstroke in the middle of the guitar, not down here like we are doing. Let's slow it down there. Listen to me. Sorry. Join in. Down, up. There it is. Down, up. There it is, Rich. There it is, Rich. I want us to start feeling this locomotive motion in our right hand of that down, up, down, up. Good, Sean. Good.
The first one's down, the second open note's down, coming up.
Yeah.
And then two strings.
Yeah, that may be throwing you off. So, y'all are my guinea pigs here. That may be throwing you off, but yeah, this is a downstroke. You're picking this going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then how about the next number, under 3?
That's yeah. So I didn't make it quite clear, but all of anything that falls on these beats is a down. Anything that falls here is an up. Mm-hmm. So when we're playing bluegrass rhythm, our hand is doing this the whole time. And what I'm working with you on is you determining and being in control of when it strikes a string or not. Because even when it doesn't strike a string, we're going to stay in this rhythm. So that when we want to tickle the strings, we can. Okay, let's try another pattern. I'll demonstrate this one for you. Does that make sense? Okay, try it with me. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's put a couple together. Let's put a couple together.
I think one of the things that making this difficult for me, I've never really paid much attention to my strum,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to.
Yeah.
It's stopping me in my tracks.
Yep. Yep, it's all about awareness, isn't it?
Yes, I see that.
Okay, I'm gonna erase this one. Let's look at this page as a whole. So we're looking at 2 measures, 2 different patterns. This is very common. We're going to do this very common, where we have 2 measures back to back that have a different strum pattern. So I'm going to play through the top one, then I'm going to immediately play through the bottom one. Look at them right now and think about what differences they have. So they're both striking the string or strings 6 out of the 8 possible times, but they're not the same, are they?
No.
And they're going to sound quite a bit different. I'll play you the 2. It sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? And what I'm also doing is, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm accenting this one. Okay, let's try this. Not that fast. But again, we're working awareness here. You made a really good point there, Martin, is that we need to be aware, because what we've probably done when we walked into this room is we brought in our old strum habits. And so part of this is just deconstructing what you've done by making us aware, okay, what's happening in a measure? What am I doing? And then building back from there. Okay, let's try it. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Good. Good. Okay, I'm hearing somebody's strum. I'm hearing somebody's strum right here. I don't want to hear that on the end of 4. Okay, we're leaving space there on purpose. Let's try it again. And when I cry rest, if you strum when I cry the word rest, you'll know it was you. Please play along so we can see who it is. All right. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. 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 Good. Nobody's doing it. Good. All right. All right. Let's add another little dimension in there. Let's go copy this page. I'm gonna teach you one of the biggest bluegrass secrets to rhythm ever.